بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ارزقني فيه رحمة الأيتام وإطعام الطعام وإفشاء السلام وصحبة الكرام بطولك يا ملجأ
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, children. Inshallah, you are all doing well, and inshallah, you are all enjoying these beautiful stories from the Holy Quran. I bet you are. So today, inshallah, I will be telling you another story from the Holy Quran, and I hope you enjoy it. Today, we shall be speaking about another prophet, and that is Prophet Sulaiman. Have you heard of Prophet Sulaiman before? Okay, I will tell you something special about him, okay? Prophet Sulaiman could speak to the birds. He had a very special power. He could speak to the animals, and he could speak to the birds, and he could speak to the insects. He understood the language of the animals. You know, if you go outside next time, I want you to do this. If you go to the garden or you go to open the front door, and there are trees, you will be able to hear the birds tweeting in the trees. But we don't understand the language of the animals, but Prophet Sulaiman did, and he spoke the same language back to them, and he understood what they said. So, today is going to be a very short story, but it's also a very beautiful story too. And I know you're going to enjoy it because it shows us the beauty of the world, and it shows us how we should look after all the creatures of Allah. We should look after the trees, we should look after nature, we should look after the earth, we should look after the animals, we should look after the whole world and the insects, even if it's the small creatures or the big creatures. We should look after them all. So today's story is, if you want to read up more about today's story can be found in the Holy Quran in Surah number 27, okay, and verses 15 to 19. That is Surah number 27, verses 15 to 19, if you want to read up more about this story after the video. So let's begin today's story. You see, Prophet Sulaiman was a great king, okay? He had a huge army, and in his army there were jinn, there were men, and there were birds, and by the will of Allah, he commanded them all. He was a very good king, and he was a prophet of Allah, and he was a good king and a good prophet. Allah loved him so much, and he loved Allah so much. One day, Prophet Sulaiman was out with his army, and the army was marching across a valley, okay? So they were marching, and then Prophet Sulaiman was riding in the front, and suddenly he heard a voice. He stopped. I wonder where that voice is coming from. He looked around to see whose voice that is. Then he noticed that the voice was coming from below. He looked down and guess what he saw? He saw a little ant speaking. The ant was calling in panic to the other ants. And what was the ant saying? The ant said, "Oh, you ants, run off home quickly before Suleiman and his soldiers come and crush us or step on us by mistake." How amazing is that? Prophet Suleiman understood exactly what the ants were saying. So the ants heard the army coming and they quickly wanted to get away before they get crushed by the army. Prophet Suleiman looked at the ants and he smiled and he was so happy. He could also understand the language of the ants, you see. And he smiled at the ant. He could understand the words of any creature on earth. And then he stopped and he thought. He was suddenly so amazed by the thought of how merciful Allah had been to him. He turned to Allah in praise and he prayed to him. He said, "Oh my Lord, make me grateful to you for your favors which you have given to me and to my parents, and I will do what is right to please you. And by your grace, make me one of your righteous servants." And this is a prayer we should all be praying to Allah. You see, Prophet Suleiman was so grateful that he could understand the language of the ants and he could understand the language of the birds and the animals and the creatures of Allah. So Prophet Suleiman told the army to march very carefully. He told them not to step on the ants and he told them not to disturb the ant houses. You see, when the world is happy, Allah is happy too. Every creature, even if it's a little tiny one, has its own work to do in this world. The bees give us honey. The trees release oxygen. The cows give us milk. Every animal, every insect, even the beautiful nature you see in the earth, everything has its purpose in life. This is how Allah wants the world to be. Allah thinks of every single creature. He looks after everyone. And he looks after every creature in this earth. And we too must always think of others. Whatever we may be doing, we must always think about others. I hope you enjoyed today's very short story, but I think it's a very beautiful story. And as usual, it's question time to end off today's video. Question number 1. What was Suleiman's special gift? Can you tell me? Question number 2, what did the ants say when they saw Prophet Suleiman and his soldiers coming? Okay, did you write that down? Question number 3, what lessons did you learn from today's story? Okay, it could be any lesson. It doesn't need to be something that I mentioned. Just tell me anything that you learned from today's story. So, I hope you enjoyed today's story. And I really do look forward to seeing you tomorrow with another beautiful story from the Holy Quran. Inshallah, take care, stay happy, and inshallah, we'll be seeing you tomorrow with another video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.